Lieutenant Spock, Ethan Peck, dislikes a particular Starfleet officer named Kirk on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and it's a delightful reversal of how the Vulcan feels about his future best friend, Lieutenant James T. Kirk, Paul Wesley. Set a handful of years before Star Trek, the original series, Strange New Worlds depicts Spock's time aboard the USS Enterprise under Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount. Yet Spock has already met many of the people who will be important to him during his voyages with Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner. In Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Lieutenant Spock is Chief Science Officer in charge of the Starship Enterprise's Life Sciences Division. As a department head, Spock oversees the various scientific endeavors aboard the Enterprise, and one of his subordinates is xenoanthropologist Lieutenant Sam Kirk, Dan Genot. Of course, in Star Trek, the original series, the camaraderie and loyalty between Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, is legendary, but in Strange New Worlds prequel years, Spock feels the exact opposite about Sam Kirk compared to the relationship the Vulcan will forge with Sam's younger brother, Jim. Spock hates Lieutenant Sam Kirk on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and I love it. There's something about Mr. Kirk that irks the Vulcan. I think it's a very funny reversal in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds that Lieutenant Spock actively dislikes Lieutenant George Samuel, Sam, Kirk. Sam was introduced in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds series premiere as a good friend of Captain Pike's. Spock's aloofness towards Kirk didn't register as anything unusual from the Vulcan. However, in Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 2, Children of the Comet, and in later episodes where Sam appears, Spock's irritation towards Mr. Kirk began to be noticeable. In Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 5, Charades, Spock outright exploded and tried to attack Sam Kirk, and it was hilarious. At this point, an accident resulted in Spock becoming completely human. Without his Vulcan control, Spock could not hide his disgust at how Mr. Kirk eats during staff meetings. Finally, Spock lost his cool entirely and had to be held back from charging at Sam. Even after his Vulcan side was restored, Spock's dislike for Sam Kirk remained and will presumably continue in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3. Strange New Worlds Season 3 begins Kirk and Spock's Star Trek bromance. Spock and Kirk were introduced by Uhura. Uhura introduces Spock to Kirk in Strange New Worlds. Although Lieutenant Sam Kirk will return in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3, it will likely be Lieutenant James T. Kirk who occupies Spock's attention. Spock and Kirk were introduced by Ensign Nyota Uhura, Celia Rose Gooding, at the end of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 6, Charades. Not surprisingly, it was their shared annoyance at Sam that instantly gave Jim and Spock something to commiserate about and bond over. Lt. James Kirk quickly figured out how to push Spock's buttons, and he enjoyed annoying the Vulcan science officer during Star Trek's first ever musical episode. However, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3 will develop Jim and Spock's bromance further, as they take the next steps to becoming the eternal best friends seen in Star Trek, the original series. Whether Spock also warms to Sam Kirk in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3 remains to be seen, but I doubt it.